Okay, so hi. Yesterday we made a project, or rather in the last video we made a project that was based on memory and love. And it was the little turtle in the stories I've been working on forever and a day. What is it, 13, 14 years now. Max, the little turtle Max, we made this 3D stand-up project with him being held and loved by a woman, and I'm not really clear. It doesn't matter that I know who she is, whether it's his auntie or his grandma. It was just someone who loved him very, very much. And so anyway, we made we made this project, and I thought today, since we're continuing with love, and it would be comforting, and it would just be nice to continue with the idea of love, I thought we'd grab another character and show them being loved when they were babies. Originally, I thought we'd go back to Scooter and Honey Bear. As Honey Bear is a baby, Scooter is his grandpa, could be his grandma, but his grandpa, just showing him love. But you know what? We've already done Scooter and Honey Bear a couple of times in other videos. So I want to move on and introduce somebody new, someone we haven't drawn before. So we're always trying new things is a nice, I like to do rather. So we're going to put Max in this one aside. We're going to take Scooter and Honey Bear and put them aside in different projects I was thinking about doing today. Oh, let me show you something really quick. For a little while, this was going to be Max, a baby mouse, because we called him Max is actually my grandson, and we were calling him Maxie Mouse for a while because he was so little. So it's going to make him into a mouse for the book. But, and I love this illustration. I love this 3D illustration. But you know what? Being called a mouse and being illustrated as a rodent may not be as much fun or as complimentary as I originally thought. So Max is now a turtle. Is a very calm, happy, loving turtle and a good friend. So the mouse goes to the side. That had nothing to do with anything. Nothing to do with anything. But let's grab a piece of paper because we're going to work on making this. This is Bugsy as a little puppy with his parent. And they're in their doghouse. So we're going to put this together. How's that? I have it almost planned out today. That's unusual for me. Let's grab a piece of scrap paper. Again, it doesn't have to be fancy. I'll show you the paper I usually use. I have fancy paper by Strathmore. It's called Bristol paper. I like it because it's a smooth surface. Here, I'll show you. It's a smooth surface without being too smooth. This is what I usually use when I'm drawing. But we are going to continue to use what we have instead of worrying about things we don't have. So I'm going to grab a piece of scrap paper. Again, this is old work paper. Had that for about a year sitting in a pile. You can use printer paper, you can use whatever you have. But we're going to grab this, and we're not going to measure anything out because I'm not that exact. But we're going to draw the doghouse. That's where we're going to start. So we're going to go 2 lines. And you can make this as... Whoa! Wait a minute, you can't see anything. Let's fix this. Let's see if we can fix this. Okay, I'm going to have to do a lot of tilting, I think. Okay. Anyway, let's just forge ahead. So we're going to make 2 lines for the outside of the doghouse. I'll make mine a little dark so you can see them. Okay. It can be smaller like this. It can be bigger. You just have to find a size that's comfortable for you. Then we're going to draw an arch. An arch or half a circle. And that's not the top of the doghouse. This is just the door going into the doghouse. let's draw the base of the doghouse. So we did our 2 lines, we got an arch, and now we've got the base line. Now we're going to do a frame, all the wood that frames around the doorway to the doghouse. Another line, another line, and we'll do the arch. So you're going to have a second half circle up that way. Ooh, listen to that thunder. It's been thundering and lightning all day long here. So I painted most of the day, or some of the day. All right, so we got that. That's what we have, rather. Now we're going to draw the baseboard. There we go. Okay, I'm going to take this off so we can see what we're doing, because I don't really remember. There we go. Oh yeah, I made a bone. All right, why don't we do this? Let's draw the wood paneling in the back, on the back wall. And those are just going to be more lines. I love wood paneling, and I like to pretend that this is painted white, a glossy white, or an eggshell white. Could be a nice light gray. It can be anything you want it to be, but I like white. I like how clean it feels. Okay. Got my lines in the back of the doghouse on the back wall. I want to put in a shelf so they have a place to put things. So it's just going to be 1 line, 2 lines. It's just like a rectangle, a very skinny rectangle. Doesn't look very even, but I'm not going to worry about it. Now I'm going to draw 2 more rectangles for jars of food, because that's where Bugsy's parent keeps their snacks. 2 lines, 2 lines. And there we've got a canister. I'll take out those lines. Take out the beaded board. Here we go. So 1, 2 lines, 1, 2 lines. That's it. We'll draw another one. We don't. This canister is on a shelf that apparently is going behind the doorway. It's on the back wall, so we're not going to see everything. So that's going to be 1 line, and then 2 lines on top for the top of the jar. Okay. Now we're going to draw another rectangle, or part of a rectangle, for the picture we're going to have hanging in the background. So we draw another rectangle, and we're going to erase those 2 lines. Okay, I'm going to finish drawing the frame for the picture, and that's just a rectangle within the rectangle. Rectangle, rectangle within the rectangle. And then the picture also has to hang up somehow, so we're going to pretend there's a nail in the wall there. And there's some string holding up our picture. Let's, instead of doing the drawing in the picture right now, no. Yeah, this is going to be a little difficult. So why don't we wait on that? Let's draw our bigger bigger figures, our bigger faces, before we try doing them tiny. I think for me that would be frustrating. But let's draw a couple of dog beds down here, because this is their living room. When other dogs come in, this would be their living room. So dog beds would be like having a couch for a dog. I'm just going to draw two random shapes, like they're pillows that have been thrown on the floor. And they just are whatever shape we make them. Okay? Now I'm going to erase the lines that are in between. And I'm going to draw, I want to put dog paws on this. So it's going to be another arch. And ovals off of it. What are there, 4? I don't know, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to draw 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There. I'm going to draw another arch right up here. And then some ovals. 1, 2, 3, 4. They're almost like our flower petals in another video. Another arch, and 1, 2, all I can fit is 3 in there. Whoop. That's okay. That's okay. I'm just going to do circles on this other dog bed, just because I love them. You can do whatever you like. I just happen to like circles. So I drew some circles. Okay, when you're all done, grab your pen. We'll just start doing the lines. I'm going to do the outside lines of the house first. Remember, the lines don't have to be perfect. They can be thick, they can be thin, they can bounce around, and do whatever you like. George Ron. I'm just working on the frame of the house right now. So much rain today. So much rain. Okay. And I'm going to do the lower part, the doorway, the lower part of the doorway, just because it'll be easier than that arc. I want to work my way up to it. Because I don't have a lot of courage to start off with, or confidence rather. So I did the archway, did the frame, part of the frame. Now we're going to finish off the frame with the archway. And this is hard. But I'm not going to worry about it, and I'm not going to think about it. I'm not going to make my lines even. I'm not going to worry about it. This is a fun project. Art projects do not have to be perfect the first time or the first 50 times. No project does. This is how you learn, is by doing and trying. And sometimes you have to redo it. But we've got the frame of the house. Okay. I'm going to draw the beds, I think, the dog beds. And they're random shapes. They're nothing in particular. Another random shape. Nothing in particular. I'm going to draw the shelf. It's another rectangle. 1, 2, 3 lines. Rectangle. Going to draw the canisters. 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. And then we'll put in the sides. I like to make the sides of the lid, the top of it, a little bit thinner than the rest. Again, doesn't matter. I'm going to do the second canister. 1, 2, 3. Boop. All done. Okay. I'm going to try the picture frame. We're not doing the picture in the picture frame yet. That's going to be a little difficult, so we're going to wait. Ooh. Shoot, I saw that lightning strike. Yikes. That was a little scary. Anyway, there we are. So it was a rectangle within a rectangle. 1, 2, 3 lines. 1, 2, 3 lines. And we can't forget how it's hanging on the wall. There. Now let's put in the lines in the background, the back wall. Again, they don't have to be perfect, they don't have to be fat, they don't have to be thin, they don't have to be anything. Anything perfect. They don't. Because nothing is perfect. My poor little Bugsy, not the cartoon character, the character in this little book. But my dog Bugsy has to go poops, but he doesn't like going poops in the rain. I tried to take him out a minute ago before I started this project, and he just would not go. He's like, nope, I'm not pooping, it's raining out. So look at that, we're almost done. I'm going to go in and make the designs on the dog beds. There's my circle. Circle, or half a circle really, these are all, most of these are half circles. And another circle. We're going to go ahead, I'm going to do dog paws, half circle, and some ovals. Half circle, and some ovals. Okay. My little paw's not perfect. Those dogs would have weird feet if they were actually feet. But there we go. Now let's take our skinny pen, because we want to put some food and biscuits and things in the canisters. I think I'm going to fill up my canister about that high. Yeah, I'm going to fill up my canisters about that high. So I made little pencil lines. For the biscuits, I'm just going to have them as rectangles. And the rectangles can go any which way you please. They can go up, they can go down, they can go sideways. You see? Don't think, just do. Don't think and worry, just do. Good. Got my dog biscuits done. Now I'm going to put dry dog food in that one. And that's just going to be circles. Let's see. Can I draw it? I don't think I can draw this so you can see it. But it's just circles. The other day we made a roof on our teapot. All those little circles, the same idea, the same thing you're going to do in the canister. It's circles in all different sizes. It doesn't matter how big or how small. Because dry dog food comes in all different shapes when it's in the bag. Sometimes they're big and fat, sometimes they're broken and little. So we're just going to do. See? Let's keep doing. Okay, I think I'm done. Good dog food. Great. We've got the background on that one done. Now let's work on the dogs themselves. Scissors. These are not my favorites. I'm going to cut the extra paper off and use that to illustrate Bugsy and his parent. This is actually my favorite illustration of Bugsy so far, or one of them. So I'm going to work from both of those. I'm going to use those as my guides. We don't want this too tall. So to fit in the house, how big did I make these guys? Oh, I made them pretty big. To fit in the house though, and not to feel too big, I think I'm gonna make them. You can't see that. Just about that big. The shape you can't see. It's from here. I'm gonna make them about that big. Ooh, you hear that? It's really, really raining out. My last house, the backyard would flood. It would fill with water when it rained like that. Huh. It's really raining. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw the parent. And the parent is it's basically a square. And I kind of want to tilt his or her head a little bit. So I made a square and it's to the side. It's just kind of angled a little funny. Then we're going to make two sort of triangles off the side. There's the shape of the parent's head, or whomever's head. And I'm going to have Bugsy is going to be a second square running into the first square and tilted as well, just a little. I'm going to draw his ears, which are also triangles. You see? Let me take this line out so you can see a little bit better. There you go. So we've got two squares, 1, 2, 3, 4 triangles. They don't have to be perfect triangles. God knows this one is it's one that I'm working on. It's okay, it doesn't matter. We're going to draw a line right down the middle of our square. Let's do this. Right down the middle of our squares, like that. Whoop. There we go. And that's going to tell us where the eyes should be and the nose should be. I'm going to draw another line right in the middle of our squares. You see that? Tells us where everything's going to belong. I want the nose right on that line. It's another rectangle. It's right on that line, pointing down. Same thing on the parent. Oop. Oh my gosh. There we go. Right underneath that center line. Then we're going to draw the eyes. And they're circles. They're not quite in the middle of these other little squares. They're just just a little bit lower than in the middle of these squares. Same thing with Bugsy. Vertically, which is this way, vertically they're in the center, but horizontally, which is this way, they're a little bit lower than in the middle. I know, maybe it's hard to understand. Try to be clear, but I don't know if I am. And we're going to draw the mouth. And the mouth is just 2 half circles. 2 arches or 2 semicircles. That's it, just like on over the doorway. There we go, we're all happy. Same on the parent. That's it. Let's give them both some eyebrows. Eyebrows. And eyebrows. Now, they both need a little bit of, they need not a lot of body. We're not going to be drawing them running around, but we do have to give them something more than heads floating. So Bugsy is going to have these 2 lines down this way, and the parent is just 1 line this way, like the arm. Oh, 1 line that way, and sorry, I forgot, because the parent is holding Bugsy. So what we've got is 1 line down this way, and then another line coming down this way and around for his paw, his left paw, his or her left paw. Oh, I forgot something. Sorry about that. We are going to pull up that line. When we started the parent was a square, but we're going to round off either side to make a jawline, so he doesn't have a square head. So we're just rounding it off a little bit. Nice soft lines on that square. We're going to do the same thing with Bugsy. Whoop. That's it. There. So much love. Now, I'm going to give Bugsy a couple of paws. We're going to draw a line here. We came down with 2 lines. We're going to do a little scoopy line right there, and then an oval at the end. And we're going to draw another oval right there. It's more of a circle, but it's a something. Anyway, look at, they're all cuddled up. Okay, let's grab our pens. We're moving right along on this one. It's getting easier and easier. Now, my Bugsy is a Pekingese poodle. His mom was a poodle, and his real dad was a Pekingese. So I'm making both of these with a little bit of Pekingese, a little bit of poodle, a poodly dog. A lot of people have Labradoodles. It's all different mixes of doodly dogs. So we're doodling our doodly dogs. I'm going to start with the eyes. It's because it makes me feel a little bit more secure. I'm tracing over my pencil lines, but not perfectly. You can see that in the parent's eyes. I didn't get it perfect, but it's okay. Now I'm going to go, I like to do the ears, because those are hard for me. So I always tackle what's hard first. There's the ear, 1 ear. Now remember, it's hair, so it's not going to be a straight line. It's not going to be perfect. Some of it's going to be flying around. I'm going to go under the ears. Whoop. Under the ears. And under this ear. They're so silly looking. I'm going to draw the top of the parent's head. Don't forget, it's hair. Sometimes it sticks up like mine. Yeah, that one I made very poodly. This guy I'm not going to make quite so poodly. Thick lines, fat lines, pointy lines, all kinds of lines. I'm going to do the sides of his face, and around his eyes, you're going to find a little bit, you're going to want to make a little bit of a bump out instead of following this square completely, if you can, only if you can. You're just going to come out a tiny little bit, because that's where the bone goes. It goes around the eye. I'm going to do my the parent's nose, the triangle, then the mouth, which is 2 lines down off the triangle, and then kind of like the circle-y sort of things on either side for his mouth. He's smiling. All right, I'm going to come down to Bugsy. Bugsy's going to have crazy hair on top, so it's a couple of lines up like that. Yeah. Coming down to his ear. Coming out of his ear. Whoop! Whoop! I gave him a really long ear hair right there. But it's okay. It's the top of his head. It's his ear. There we go. There's his other ear. In my drawing, this ear is smaller than this ear, but it's okay. Doesn't matter. All right, I'm going to do the parent's paw over here for no particular reason. There we go. Now I'm going to do the parent's arm. And it is hair, so we don't want it too perfect. See? The fur is going to be messy. Oh, I forgot. We got to do Bugsy's face. We have to finish his face. We've got his nose. The 2 lines coming out below his nose. Almost look like a mustache. Coming down to Bugsy's smile. Oh, I forgot the parent's smile. There we go. They're both happy. Now I'm going to do Bugsy's little shoulder. Oh, I forgot the rest of his face. How do I do that? I'm going to finish off the square of his face, the lines on either side, but let's not forget when we come to the eye, if you can, you're going to come out just a little bit, because that's where the eye socket is. That's where the bones to his eyes are. Coming down and finishing off the face. I want you to look at, whoops, I don't think you can. There we go. I want you to look at those lines. I want you to see that one, how imperfect this is. Okay? I want you to understand that it's okay to make boo-boos, because sometimes there's beauty in the boo-boos. Oh, I forgot that part. There. I know it's hard to see. All right, let's do the eyebrows. We can't forget the eyebrows. Eyebrows on the parent. And eyebrows on Bugsy. I do like to make this part of the eyebrow, just over the eye, a little bit thicker than the one running down to the side of the face. That's just me though. Alright, let's fill in the eyes. And the eyes again are just lines. Just a series of lines. That's all it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Whoop. Make them a little bit thicker. Bugsy's eye. Just lines. That's all it is. Okay. All right, my friends. Ooh. I'm gonna draw a line for Bugsy right there. So we'll figure this out in a minute. They may or may not, Bugsy's feet may or may not be sticking out of the doghouse. So I just drew a little line. I'm not going to draw it in ink. I drew it in pencil, so I have that option. I'm going to erase a little bit though. Oop! So this Bugsy doesn't look identical to this Bugsy, but it's okay. Oh, I forgot, we got to fill in their noses too. Their noses are going to be filled in with just lines. Just random lines. There we go. I knew I forgot something. Okay. Now let's grab our scissors and cut it out. Different pair of scissors today. I usually have my dollar store scissors. My neighbor Kirby gave me these. Once again, we don't cut on the black line, we're going to cut around it. Okay? Sorry. I hope you can see a little bit better. Not cutting on the black line, cutting around them, leaving space. I wonder, does this remind you of someone that you love? Auntie, an uncle, a brother, a mom and dad, a foster parent, a teacher, someone who's just kind and you love. I think I'm going to cut along that pencil line. And then we've got to tackle something that's going to be a little bit hard. But I'm going to cut a little bit higher on my line, and I want to cut a little bit into the paw. Not into, but cut a little bit higher on his paws so that we can bend them out. Because I may want to do something else. I don't know. We'll find out when we get there. There we go. Okay, all cut out. All cut out. Okay, now we're going to tackle this picture. And I can say that even I'm worried about it. But we're going to do two small squares again. And they don't have to be these dogs. These could be friends of the family. They could be brothers or sisters. They could be anybody, any other dogs in their lives. So once again, it's going to be 2 squares, just like we did before, with 2 rectangles hanging off the sides for ears. And this is tiny. We're not going to stress about it. They almost look like sippy cups right now. They do, they look like sippy cups. Then we're going to do 2 lines coming off of either one, either sippy cup shape for shoulders. We're going to draw, remember how we drew like a cross in the middle of our squares before? I don't know if you can see, we're just going to do it again. We're going to use those to find the nose, which is the rectangle, nose rectangle. I'm going to skip, I'm just going to do this pretty quick so I can show you in pen. It's very hard to see what I'm doing on the camera right now. Okay. It's the same principle we used here. The exact same formula. We're going to do soft hair up top, coming down to the top of the square. We're going to do rectangle, the square, sides of the square, shoulder, shoulder. A little bit of chin underneath. Okay? A little bit of hair on top, coming down to the square, coming down to the rectangle, rectangle, triangle, and shoulders. It should make it easier to see. I'm going to draw the eyes, but I'm going to take my little pen to do this. Eyes, eyes, nose. All right, that's as far as I'm going to take it, because it is such a tiny picture, it's hard to see. I'm not going to worry about their expressions. I'm not going to worry about them much else. What I'm going to do in the background is just like in their eyes, just lines. Just lines. And I like to do my lines at an angle. Okay. I'm going to put some lines in their eyes and their noses, and that's it. That's it. Well, sorry, I lied just a little bit. I gave them chins. All right. So now we're going to move on to cutting out the doghouse frame with a doorway. Again, not cutting right along the lines. You hear that? It's still thundering out. We've been here for 43 minutes, almost 45 minutes, and it's still thundering and lightning and raining out. Poor Bugsy. I bet he thinks he's never going to be able to poop again. Never, never. Okay. There we go. Oh, you know what we didn't do? We didn't give them a bone. All dogs love bones. So let's draw a bone. Okay? Really easy. 2 lines. And then like 2 lines like that. And then we're going to put 2 very clumsy hearts on the ends. And our hearts are basically squares without the other side, kind of. Excuse me. Right, I'm going to start inking them in using my fancy brush pen. Line, line. Now I said it's like a heart, but it's not quite a heart. Okay, there's my two lines. There's the beginning of the end of the bone. What I want to do is not have them meet like a sharp point in the middle like a heart does, like that. I want it to be very soft. So I'm going to draw a line like that. It's a little swoopy. On the other side, I'm drawing like that. Because bones don't really have sharp angles like that. Bones have soft angles. Okay, I'm going to do the same on the other end. I want to erase a couple of the lines. And I'm going to start cutting it out. We're almost done, believe it or not. I hope the rain lets up. I ate way too much for lunch. I've got to walk some of it off. Not eating too much, but not getting enough exercise. So I started putting on weight, and I don't like it. It doesn't feel good. There we go, there's our bone. So we're going to take the bone, and we're going to put it on one of the dog beds, but we're going to make one of our little rolly things. We're going to make one of our little rolly things, like sticks in there, just like that, for the back of it. So we're going to take this, take our piece of paper. I think I made this one too long. Chop some off. We don't need a huge one, huge rolly piece. Put some glue on it. Wow, you'd think the sky would run out of rain at some point. So I've got glue there. And this one's tough. Wow, this is tiny for me. This is very small for me. Just going to roll it up. A little clumsy. There we go. That's it. I'm going to glue it to the back of the dog bone. Ooh, it's too big. It's too big. I'm going to do it again. Yeah, it's still too big. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to glue it on. Never mind. If you can get it to work for you, then you go ahead and you make one of those rolly bits. However, my fingers are too fat and I'm too clumsy. It's not working today. So I'm just going to glue bone to the dog bed. There we go. That's what I'm doing. But I am going to make a little rolly bit for this guy. Taking some pencil off. Now don't forget, if you want to, you can photocopy this so you can make more of them or color them. Then you'll have it. You can make more. You can make more of them, but you can color and color and color and color. You want to make copies of the originals, these guys. This first drawing. Of course, you can always try drawing it again and again and making yourself more comfortable and getting better at it. It's up to you. Okay. So now I'm going to make a little rolly piece for these two. I have more scrap paper. Yep, I have more scrap paper, so I don't have to waste anything. It made wrinkles in it. Whoops. This time the little roly piece isn't going to stand up. I'm going to do a couple of things. I think. Let me see something. Looks like I'm going to be covering up the bone, but that's okay. I'm just going to cut this little piece right here. That little thin piece off so I can see more of Bugsy's paws. And I'm going to glue the roly bit on the back of Bugsy. Oh, I hope the paper doesn't wrinkle. Oh, it is. Wrinkling a little bit because it got wet. That's all right. So I can always do it again if I want to. Okay. Now I've glued Bugsy. Oop, Bugsy is the parent to the little roly bit. And I'm going to glue the little roly bit to the doghouse. And this, I don't mind if it gets squished, a little squished. I don't want them popped out too far anyway. And that little piece of paper back there is going to help them to stand out a little bit, but not too much. Oops. Boy, I made a boo-boo. Hang on. Okay, this is not going to be my tidiest project yet. I pulled it off because you could see the roly bit sticking out. Oops. Okay, this one is definitely a little bit more of a mess than usual. But look at it. Look at how they look. They're loving. They're loving. And that's the point of this. Loving. Okay, now let's get this to stand up. Okay? So we're going to grab, I'm out of big pieces of extra scrap paper, so I'm going to grab a whole new sheet. And I do want this to be kind of tall to help support the illustration. So I'm going to have, I think I'm going to cut a piece about that big. It's just me. Make sure that it's tall enough, your piece is tall enough to hold up the project, the image. It has to be tall enough to hold it up. This doesn't have to be super wide. The paper doesn't have to be the whole length. It doesn't have to be super long. But the height is kind of important. Actually, I'm going to go like this. I'm going to go with my first instinct. Looks like I cut another square. Okay. We want the bottom to be flat enough so this can stand up. Look at wrinkles in my paper. Oh well. So we've got, it does stand up. I just tried it. We're going to put some glue on the back. And glue the doghouse on it. I don't want to put too much glue on, otherwise it ends up all wet and wrinkly. Oop. Oop. There we go. I'm not sure I like the face. Let's not forget my desk is at an angle. That's why it keeps falling over. Either that or my little tube thing isn't quite right. But I think it's because this is at an angle. Anyway, you know what? This is really bothering me. The paper is so heavy that the parent's head keeps coming down. So I'm just going to glue the top of his head. Like I said, I didn't really plan this out. We just kind of do them. We experiment. There. They do stand out a little bit. What I like is putting one illustration on top of another, whether they're standing far out, like this one was, whether they're standing way far out like that, or they're on top of the paper a little bit more. They still feel different than having to do one big drawing. One big drawing can sometimes feel very flat. There we go. I'm going to glue this back on. And it's to me, it's more intimidating doing one big drawing too. Because you make one mistake, you have to start all over again. So there's that. Ooh, sorry. Yeah. This one I did with a heavier paper, and I ended up using toilet paper rolls on the back. This one is just scrap paper. That's just what we have around the house. So that's what we did today. Yeah. Two versions of the same idea. But you know what? Both of them say love. All right, everybody. Thanks. Thanks for your patience. Thanks for your patience. Ooh, sorry. I'm so sorry. Thanks for your patience. You have a great great evening or whatever night, whenever you're seeing this. Pardon me. Whenever you're seeing this. Keep your fingers crossed that it actually stops raining someday soon. Because Bugsy can't hold the poo much longer, I don't think. Anyway, ciao, you guys. Ciao.